Resuming the desire to understand your partner. Have you noticed that by applying some of the ideas from the previous video, you already notice small but significant changes in your relationship with your partner? Surely you realized how crucial it is to understand the differences between men and women to prevent unnecessary arguments and rekindle the affection that united you in the beginning. In this video, you will learn how to give your partner what they need at the right moment. What happens in those moments when he or she acts in a way you don't understand? Why it is so important to recognize that men and women don't react the same way. Be certain that by applying even a small part of these concepts, you can avoid silly breakups and strengthen your marriage or relationship. Let's begin. How to take control before it's too late. Sometimes arguments seem to arise out of nowhere. One day everything is fine, and the next there are misunderstandings, awkward silences, or complaints. Why does this happen? Usually, it's because both want the same thing, to feel loved, valued, and heard, but they express it in different ways. Understanding the emotional urgency. When the relationship is in danger, we often try to fix everything forcefully, without really listening. Recognize that in those moments, what your partner needs most is not a lecture or a quick solution, but to be acknowledged. Giving space to vulnerability. Many times, we act harshly to protect ourselves. If you give in a little and allow yourself to show vulnerability, your partner can see that there is still love and willingness. Remembering that differences in perspectives are natural. This is not about who is right, but about how each person experiences and expresses their internal world. By assuming that the other person experiences situations differently, tension decreases, and curiosity to know more arises. If you put these simple reflections into practice, you will see how the willingness to dialogue resurfaces without either feeling attacked. Gradually, you and your partner will begin to get closer again. By now, you are surely thinking, well, but how do I do it in practice? Here the magic begins. In the first part, you learned that men and women have different ways of feeling, speaking, and handling conflicts. Now, we will delve into these differences in a specific way. Why we insist so much on understanding your partner. When you understand what is behind each reaction, you stop feeling surprised by their behavior. You start anticipating their needs and responding in a way that truly makes them feel loved. Discovering opportunities in every disagreement. A conflict is not the end, but a sign that there is something both need to communicate. In those moments, if you apply the correct tools, you can connect even deeper instead of distancing yourself. How men and women really are. Perhaps you have heard phrases like, men think in black and white, or women just want to talk. But it's not about simplifying it to stereotypes. There are specific reasons in the brain and emotions that explain certain attitudes. Knowing those reasons will give you a huge advantage in handling day-to-day situations. At this point, it is crucial to stay alert, because what follows will reinforce your desire to learn the how in a concrete way. You will see that it's not enough to say, we are different. We need to know exactly how to act in the face of those differences. The keys to a pleasant and productive coexistence. You may be wondering, how can I use all this to create a harmonious coexistence that is also worthwhile for both of us? Identify the moments of greatest sensitivity. Each person has situations that overwhelm them. Work stress, family pressure, financial problems. If you detect those moments in your partner and support them in the way she or he needs, without imposing your vision, you will be building a much stronger bond of trust. Learn to give what the other person values. For you, love might be synonymous with gifts or material gestures, but perhaps your partner prefers a moment of conversation without a phone in the way. Discovering that language makes the difference between a gesture that goes unnoticed and one that touches the heart. make the other person feel supported, not judged. Every time we emit unnecessary criticisms or unsolicited advice, we cause the partner to close up instead of opening up. Instead, when you offer sincere help and a listening ear, the response is almost always positive. How to prevent routine from putting out the spark? Every relationship goes through stages. At the beginning, passion and excitement flood everything, but over time, routine and the challenges of coexistence arrive. What to do to keep that flame from going out? Moments of intentional connection. It's not enough to live together or share the same physical space. You have to create spaces of true connection. A walk, a dinner without phones, a few minutes upon waking to converse. These small routines prevent the relationship from turning into a cold coexistence without complicity. Renewing mutual interest. Ask your partner about their dreams, plans, or problems. Show sincere interest in their inner world. Sometimes we think we know everything about them, but people change, and there's always something new to learn about each other. Surprise with small gestures, an unexpected little message, an authentic compliment, a spontaneous invitation. These details remind your partner that you appreciate them beyond daily routines. When you integrate these elements, coexistence becomes more pleasant, and your partner can perceive your dedication. But it's not a 10 quick steps manual. It's a process that requires thoroughly understanding each other's particularities. And this leads us to the next point. The art of speaking. Different languages. Here we begin to touch on the topic you've been waiting for: how to communicate effectively if, at times, it seems like we're speaking opposite languages. Verbal language versus emotional language. Some people need to hear phrases like, "I love you," or "I support you," spoken aloud. Other people feel more loved when you accompany them in silence or offer a hug. Learning to identify your partner's preference makes a difference. The right moment to talk. It's not the same to address delicate topics when your partner is exhausted or nervous than when there is a calm and open environment. Choosing the right moment can avoid misunderstandings. How to know when is the best moment? That's where specific techniques about the wave of female emotions, or the male rubber band, make sense, and they teach you exactly when to approach or withdraw. Avoiding critical mode. If you use phrases like "you always" or "you never," when expressing a need, your partner will feel attacked and stop listening. The challenge is to learn to formulate requests, not demands, in a kind way. And that requires more strategies we will see later. Avoiding silly and unnecessary breakups. Let's return to the problem that started all this: the lack of understanding. Sometimes the relationship reaches a point where either one thinks, maybe the best thing is to break up. Knowing what we have discussed, wouldn't it be a shame to end something valuable over mere misunderstandings that do have solutions? Recognize early signs. If you are arguing more than usual, or if there is suddenly a cold silence between you, there are possibly unmet emotional needs. Instead of staying silent or blaming the other, give yourself the opportunity to delve deeper. How can I support my partner right now? Communicate your positive intention. Sometimes a simple, "Hey, I don't want to fight with you. I want to understand you and reach an agreement," can prevent a big fight. Show that, despite the differences, you care about the relationship and are willing to listen. Decide to learn. Reaching this point shows that you are looking for real, not superficial solutions. For this reason, I am going to share 3 very powerful tools with you. You have surely felt that the information we have covered so far has opened your eyes to the importance of understanding the differences between men and women. But now I will talk to you about 3 of the most valuable tools that can make the difference between living a relationship full of clashes or enjoying a harmonious coexistence. These points are: how men act like rubber bands, why women are like waves, the importance of speaking different languages. Retrieving, the essence of understanding your partner. Before delving into the 3 points, let's remember why it is so vital to learn to understand the person you love. Every argument you avoid by knowing how your partner thinks or feels is another step towards harmony. Each gesture of empathy strengthens the bond and prepares the ground for resolving future misunderstandings. Each accepted difference becomes a pillar of growth for both. This foundation will be useful as you delve into the topics that follow, where we will see that we are not the same, and that is not only normal, but can also unite us more. The art of speaking different languages. Why do you sometimes feel that your partner doesn't understand you, even though you use the same words? The reason is that men and women do not always process information in the same way. We call this speaking different languages. Let's see it clearly. Emotional language versus practical language. Often, a woman expresses emotions to vent or connect. A man, on the other hand, may believe he is being asked for an immediate solution. If you are a woman, understand that he might be switching to problem-solving mode without wanting to invalidate your feelings. If you are a man, remember that sometimes you are not being asked for solutions, but for understanding and companionship. Language of physical expression versus verbal. Some men feel that they fulfill demonstrating love through actions, fixing something, bringing food, etc. Many women, on the other hand, need to hear an "I love you" or a "How was your day?" to feel valued. Recognizing and appreciating both actions and words creates a bridge of understanding. Choosing the right moment. It is not the same to talk about a problem when your partner is exhausted or pressured than when there is a calm and open environment. Knowing when to wait or propose the conversation at a better moment prevents falling into defensive reactions or arguments that lead to nothing positive. Understanding these different languages will make you see that many fights arise simply from emotional deafness. With a simple adjustment, paying attention to how your partner communicates and what they expect from you, much of the misunderstandings can be minimized. When the man is like a rubber band. This concept describes one of the most misunderstood behaviors of men. What does it mean to be like a rubber band? The need to pull away to return. Many times, the man distances himself without an apparent reason, as if he needs space to stretch and then return with renewed energy. It's not about lack of love or indifference. It's a natural cycle in which he reconnects with himself. If the woman chases or pressures at that moment, the band is too tense and he feels suffocated. At the same time, if she respects that space, the band returns on its own with more strength. The re-encounter effect. Upon returning from that moment of distancing, the man usually feels closer and more willing to share. The woman, by understanding this pattern, stops taking it as something personal or a sign of rejection and avoids fights that arise from insecurity. Keys to managing. Don't chase. Give him space to process his thoughts or emotions. Don't reproach. If you reproach him for wanting his space, you enter into an unnecessary conflict, and he may take more distance. Invite to dialogue. When you see the band returning, take the opportunity to converse kindly, without resentment. Learning to recognize this cycle allows the couple to respect the rhythm that the man needs to maintain his personal balance. At the same time, it prevents the woman from feeling ignored or leaving the relationship by confusing personal space with lack of interest. When the woman is like a wave. Now let's talk about the other side of the coin, the woman as a wave. Why the metaphor? Because her emotions tend to rise and fall, sometimes suddenly, and this can confuse the man if he doesn't understand it. Emotional highs and lows. A woman can feel incredibly close and happy at one moment, and shortly after be upset or sad. It's not that she doesn't know what she wants, but that she is experiencing a natural fluctuation in her emotions. When she feels at the peak, her connection is deep and committed. When she is at the base of the wave, she needs support and understanding to be able to rise again. The partner's role. During the descent, If the man thinks he has to fix or correct her emotions, he will often encounter resistance. She is actually seeking empathy, an ear that listens to and validates her. A phrase like, "I understand that you feel that way, how can I help you?" can work wonders. Return to the surface. Once the wave hits bottom and finds support, it rises again with the same force. There, the woman regains her stability and gratitude towards the one who accompanied her. If the man remains present without judging or invalidating, that roller coaster becomes much more manageable. By seeing the woman as a wave, the man stops believing that her mood swings are personal attacks. He learns that just as he needs his space, she goes through emotional cycles that require understanding, support, and patience. Connection between the three concepts. Now, let's put the pieces together. Speaking different languages teaches you not to confuse the signals your partner emits. Men like rubber bands show you that when he distances himself, it is not always a sign of definitive detachment, but a process that requires space and then allows him to return with renewed affection. Women like waves explain that their emotional variation requires a different type of support than the man might initially imagine. Understanding these 3 points together gives you a much clearer picture of how to prevent silly breakups and, instead, forge a more stable and loving marriage or relationship. Apply these ideas to your daily life. To ensure these concepts don't remain theoretical, keep the following in mind. Observe without judging. When you notice your partner acting weird or distant, instead of getting irritated, ask yourself, is he stretching his rubber band? Or is she in a low moment of her wave? Putting yourself in their place before assuming the worst reduces tension instantly. Practice empathetic communication. Instead of reproaching or lecturing, ask, do you want me to listen? Or do you prefer that I help you find solutions? This small question changes the defense-attack dynamic to one of mutual respect. Anticipate the cycles. Realize that men cyclically distance themselves and return, and that women can go through emotional ups and downs. Prepare with simple strategies. Perhaps a short message of support, a space of silence, or quality time together when the wave rises or the rubber band approaches again. With these simple practices, you will notice that many fights lose strength before they start. Moreover, each achievement reinforces the certainty that it is indeed possible to take the relationship to a higher level of trust and love. In the third video, we will apply all these tools step by step, delving into the internal mechanisms of men and women in situations of stress or discomfort. How to develop communication that is so clear and accurate that arguments become opportunities for growth as a couple. Practical methods to detect, at the right moment, what your partner needs and how to offer it in the most effective way. Don't let confusion, pride, or indifference lead you to lose that person you love so much. Become someone who really knows how to relate in a healthy and constructive way. Without having to go to extremes in your relationships, deep down, you know it's avoidable if both understand each other better. Thank you very much for making it this far. Remember that this transformation process starts within you and will be reflected in every interaction with your partner. We will see each other very soon to close the circle with the most powerful strategies that can make the definitive difference in your relationship. Don't miss it.